This is News 13 Now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to News 13 Now. I'm Kathy Bazinski. Point taken. After hundreds of residents shown up at a zoning hearing against it, pair of developers have decided they won't open a drug and alcohol treatment center in Butler Township, Luzerne County. John Darrow and Jude Sidari have withdrawn their application to open a voluntary drug and alcohol rehab center on St. John's Road in Butler Township. Now the developers are exploring alternative sites for the treatment center after nearly 400 people showed up to try and stop the plans at a zoning board hearing on Wednesday night. Those developers say they have received several calls from property owners around the area offering them new locations. They say they would rather search for a new location than set up without the community support, but insist this area needs a treatment facility.
You know, we're both local business people, and we don't want to do anything that would hurt the community. We certainly aren't going to do it if that many people are going to be unhappy. I hope that, like I said, I hope we could find a good facility that is neighbor friendly, and we could work within the community and, bring something that will actually benefit the community.
The business will create nearly 40 new jobs. They still haven't decided on a new location. Well, Hazleton Council approved the city's 2014 budget, but some council members already have plans to amend it when the new members take office in just a couple of weeks. With the 3-2 vote, Hazleton City Council approved a 2014 budget with an estimated $8.9 million spending plan during their meeting at City Hall Thursday night. Last year's budget was roughly $8.6 million. The increase is due to more revenue and expenses caused by an increase in pay and insurance. This year's budget also includes parking revenue and parking employee wages. Acting City Administrator Steve Hahn says the budget was pretty much the same one the mayor proposed, but he believes the reconfigured council will probably amend it.
I think the indications from the city council, there's 2 new members coming on to city councils in January. They'll be sworn in on the 6th, and they seem to be indicating they're going to reopen the budget, which they're allowed to do, and amend it. So haven't seen any plans from any of the the new council members or the existing council members as far as what their plan might be in terms of changing or amending that. We'll have to wait and see what they come forward with.
This new budget does not include any new personnel and no tax increase. You can now add Mahanoy City to that ever-growing list of local municipalities raising property taxes next year. Homeowners will pay roughly $20 more in the new year. The extra cash will go toward a new line item in the budget, a blight fund. Borough officials say blight is rampant throughout their area. They say establishing a blight fund will allow the city to move forward and start a long-term plan of cleaning up Mahanoy.
I don't think anybody's necessarily happy with the tax raise, and it's not fair to a citizen that some other citizen over time had let their property get into bad shape where we would have to step in. But I think also they realize it is a problem and we have to do something about it. We didn't have money in the existing budget to fund it. So in order to fund the money specifically for blight, we raised taxes 2 mills. So that should hopefully raise us about $40,000 per year to help in combat blight in the borough.
Lena says the difference between this year's budget and next year's is very small, but the continuing need for funds for blight problems led to the creation of the fund. Mahanoy City joins Pottsville and Tamaqua, which are also raising local taxes. That's on top of Schuylkill County raising taxes to help pay for an improved emergency response system. Well, whether it's tax notices or holiday greetings, this is one of the busiest weeks of the year for the people who work for the U.S. Postal Service. Christina Papa stopped by the local post office and got a dose of mail madness.
They're loading up the trucks, piling up the packages, and shipping out. These are the busiest days for the U.S. Postal Service.
It was a very busy morning this week. Our mail volume really picks up right before the Christmas time is actually here.
Nearly 15 billion pieces of mail and 420 million packages will be processed through Christmas Day. That means they need all hands on deck here at Hazleton's post office.
In years past, there have been reports of a decrease in letter volume here at the post office, but they're still getting letters to Santa Claus and plenty of packages that are keeping the mailmen very busy.
More packages because more people are shopping online.
We're mainly seeing parcels. Parcels are coming in from, as I said before, our online shippers and our major retailers such as Amazon and eBay.
Even with the increase, there are no long lines here. That's because this is one of the nearly 3,000 premier post offices in the country. People should expect the best customer service and no long lines.
Here, something that we really haven't done in the past, but here in this office, we have been delivering parcels on Sundays to try to make sure that we are getting those packages to the customers as quickly as possible.
That doesn't mean people should wait last minute to send their packages. The U.S. Postal Service says 2 to 3 day priority mail could take a little longer. So you may have to spend a little more money to make sure your package is delivered on time.
Express mail and priority mail will be the two that will get it there the quickest.
Just a reminder, today is the deadline for first-class mail, and priority mail should be sent out before Monday. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
And still ahead on News 13 now, break out the spring clothes. We're headed up to the 60s this weekend, though it will be a little bit wet. We'll tell you about it in News 13 weather. But first, we'll continue the countdown of our top stories of 2013 with a tale of trouble at the ballot box. But News 13 now continues.
You're watching News 13 Now, local and loving it.
Tonight, we continue to count down the top regional stories of 2013. Luzerne County's Election Bureau dropped the ball in a number of ways during this year's primary election. Some of the problems the county created, particularly in one local race, make it the number 8 story of 2013.
Back in May, a box went missing during the primaries at one of the polling places right here in Hazleton. Folks called it an epic fail after the huge mess it caused.
The first issue at 6:15 this morning was the fact that the judge of elections in the 4th Ward in Hazleton did not receive her box of election materials. The courier left the box unattended on her porch and it disappeared.
Luzerne County Board of Elections attorney Michael Butera focused on fixing the primary's shortcomings, starting with changing the way the boxes are delivered.
We're going to personally deliver the boxes by the election bureaus directly to the judges of elections to make sure they get them.
Another mistake was found on the ballots in Schuylkill and Carbon counties. Administrator Steve Hahn was never taken off the ballot, even though he withdrew from the race in mid-March.
It's not a Luzerne County problem, but the problem may have stemmed from Luzerne County by us not notifying those other counties of his withdrawal.
Hahn ended up receiving 226 Republican votes and 167 Democratic votes in just Schuylkill County. Hahn didn't feel those votes would have changed the outcome of the election, but he blamed the low votes on the disapproval of certain candidates.
I think it was the voters. They heard what Mrs. Yankiewicz has done over the last number of years. She has a record, and I think they rejected that in some ways.
To make things even more complicated, some ballots in Hazleton read borough council candidates instead of city council candidates. The mix-up could have confused voters, perhaps swaying votes. A special primary election was held in July for the Hazleton School Board as an attempt to make things right the second time around. But that didn't mean everyone was happy with the revote.
3 people that clinched the Republican and Democratic nominations. Myself, I won a Republican nomination, and Carmela Yankiewicz won the Democratic nomination.
School board member Carmela Yankiewicz was in favor of a revote, but was the revote fair?
It was always my opinion that you can't correct a wrong with another wrong and expect to make it right, and I think that's what happened in this case.
Many people didn't turn out for the second vote. That's why Republican winner Jared O'Donnell wishes the errors could have been handled differently.
Out of 1,900 people that voted in the May primary, the turnout was significantly low. People were on vacation, people forgot about it. I talked with a lot of people that, simply said, we didn't know that there was going to be another election.
After everything was all said and done, voters decided to replace veteran school director Carmela Yankiewicz with newcomers James Chapman and 21-year-old Jared O'Donnell. Voters also returned incumbent directors Bob Mahalik and Clarence John to the board for 4-year terms.
I'm excited to make change. I'm excited to do good work for the district and do good work for the taxpayers of our district.
Samantha Galvez, News 13, Hazleton.
Time now for News 13 weather.
In tonight's weather shot, we're local and loving it right in downtown Hazleton, where after dealing with days of significant snow and wintry mix, it feels like a spring thaw, and that's just what that huge icicle is doing today. Checking the National Weather Service radar, we've got precipitation moving through, but not a lot, and the good thing is temperatures are so warm that it's all wet and not white. Here's News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton for tonight. A chance of rain mainly after midnight with a low down to 38 degrees. For Saturday, it'll be cloudy with rain likely by late afternoon, a high of 44. Rain at night with a low around 42 degrees. Then Sunday, showers, but a high of 63 degrees. And that trails off to a chance of showers during the overnight with a low back down to 39. And Monday, mostly cloudy with a high only 39 degrees. Overnight low around 22. And for Tuesday, Christmas Eve, it'll be partly sunny and chilly, though, a high near 28 degrees. Heading to Schuylkill County for tonight, cloudy with a slight chance of rain, a low around 39. And for Saturday, cloudy with showers likely by mid-afternoon, a high up to 50 degrees. Chance of showers during the overnight with a low around 44. On Sunday, showers likely, a high near 62. There will be a chance of rain during the overnight with a low around 43. For Monday, morning rain gives way to isolated showers with a high near 43. And it gets mostly cloudy at night and the temperature drops with a low around 23. And for Tuesday, mostly sunny, but a high near 29 degrees. And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you play. The daily, 517. The big four, 9659. Quinto, 19484. And the treasure hunt, 3, 9, 13, 24, 25. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. Attention Klein Township residents. Trash pickup will remain the same for the week of Christmas and New Year's Eve. Another announcement for this evening. Christ Lutheran Church in Hazleton is inviting members of Trinity Lutheran Church to join with them in celebrating the Christmas holiday. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. Christmas Eve services will be held at 7:30 p.m. with a 10 p.m. candlelight service. And one more announcement, the Penn Rod and Gun Club will be hosting the following bus trips this summer. June 1st, Dover International Speedway. Saturday, May 24th, LA Dodgers at Philadelphia Phillies. June 28th, Braves at Phillies. And Saturday, August 23rd, Cardinals at Phillies. For info on any of these events, please call 570-956-3645. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Mary Donix of Freeland. Funeral is Saturday at 10 a.m. from the McHugh Wilczek Funeral Home. Friends may call Saturday from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Claude W. Fink of Sybertsville. All services will be private and at the convenience of the family from the Harmon Funeral Home. Eleanor M. Wilkiltis of Mahanoy City. The David D. Jarrett Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. And also tonight, in loving memory of Agnes Broadsman. Happy birthday in heaven from your family.
This is News 13 Sports.
The big weekend underway here in the middle of the wintertime in Hazleton. We're talking about the annual Hazleton Integration Project weekend with Joe Madden. Yesterday, the press conference. Tonight, the fundraising dinner. They've got their talent show tomorrow, and then the Thanksmas celebration for the needy on Sunday. And to kick it all off, as we said, they gathered the media together, and Joe Madden was just beaming, and why not? This is the first year that the center is actually open, and boy, what a difference it has made from last year and even the year before to actually see this become a reality.
As I was saying, as everybody was speaking, I'm sitting there trying to absorb all this. You hear things. I talked to Bob on the phone, I talked to Carmine, but then to actually see it in action, it's different. Feet on the ground is different, and when you actually live it, it's pretty impressive what we've been able to do in a short period of time. And again, I get way too much credit for this. We were involved in the beginning, but the people that are here every day are the true heroes within this entire project. Bob and Elaine and Carmine, my sister, and everybody else, and then all the volunteers, my God, and Eugenio. It's incredible. This could be the beginning of a lot of wonderful new traditions or reestablishing traditions in our area.
And as always, Joe Madden has a lot of friends in Major League Baseball. We've had the likes of Don Zimmer and Yogi Berra and Tino Martinez. Well, Yankee fans may not particularly like this year's headliner, but four-time 20-game winner, Luis Tiant of the Boston Red Sox fame. He was in town, and he was happy to be in Hazleton, and more than anything, happy to help out a real worthwhile project for his friend Joe Madden.
He's my friend in that way. I never have any problem with him, and anytime, whatever he wanted me to do somewhere, I go. I don't have no problem with that. And I know what he do is great. It's something that can help a lot of people, a lot of kids, and that's what I think we all should do.
Now, of course, as we pointed out to El Tiante, he did spend 2 seasons in Yankee pinstripes, so we said, okay, we can allow them to come to Hazleton and have a good time. It's always a good night of fun, and Joe Madden is making it all happen for, as we said, a really good cause. Well, let's take a look at what happened with the Cougars. They're down, of course, in Florida, and after their come-from-behind win yesterday, it didn't quite work out. Matter of fact, it went the other way today. You could see they got beat 69-50. However, they were down by just 2 points at halftime. The third quarter went back and forth, and they actually had the lead in the third quarter, which is amazing that they end up losing by 19. Sal Biazzi, 27, leading the way for Hazleton area, but it's the first loss of the season for the Cougars. Now they will play Douglas High School from Oregon. That'll be tomorrow in what amounts to the third game of the round-robin tournament. Other basketball to tell you about, MMI. They knocked off Marion. Looks like Joe Flanagan's team's going to be for real this year. Corey Rogers leading the way for 13 points. North Schuylkill gets by Panther Valley, and Blue Mountain edges Tamaqua. In swimming, Hazleton area with the split. Becca Yanis leads the way on the girls' side. Big win for the Lady Cougars. Meanwhile, Scranton gets the best of them on the boys' side, despite Troy Valkuski doing his usual good stuff in the swimming pool. Take a look at down in the Schuylkill League, where Tamaqua, they beat Monoy area in both girls and boys swimming. And in varsity wrestling, North Schuylkill all over Monoy 58-11. Scheduled today, Old Forge in to take on the Lady Cougars. That could be a very entertaining game. Marion and Monoy, Pottsville at Tamaqua in swimming, Del Val down at the Auditorium, and Tamaqua and East Stroudsburg South. So busy sports day again. Go out and enjoy it. Lots of football too this weekend.
4 days before Christmas, and a very active night in Hazleton is about to begin. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Short Shots, the third annual HIP banquet and auction at Genetti's Best Western, and the 10th annual Dystonia Dinner and Auction Affair at the Hazleton Elks Club actually have already started. Early birds are starting to move in. Louis Tion, who used to turn his back to batters during his windup, and who once threw over 200 pitches in one game before pitch count became a huge issue, will be at Genetti's. And so will Larry Boa, Yuna Escobar, the Philly fanatic, and of course, Tampa Bay Rays manager, Hazleton's own Joe Madden, and a few other surprise guests will be on hand. But if you didn't leave yet, to either one or both, you may as well stay home for a few more minutes until this quick recap of the week is over. High school football season finally ended also last Friday afternoon at Hershey, and it was not a good ending for Old Forge, who lost 15-14 on the game's final play in OT. 16-0 North Catholic in its last game ever before being swallowed by a huge jointure before next season converted a 2-point conversion barely to win it. Old Forge finished a remarkable campaign at 14-2. In that game, the Old Forge coach's son, Shane Schuback, ran for 63 yards on 8 carries, caught 7 passes for 65 yards, returned a punt 50 yards to set up a score, scored a touchdown, blocked a punt, made 9 solo tackles, and was in on a dozen others. But he did miss a 28-yard field goal with a few seconds left in regular time. But despite that, it was an all-state game for an all-state player. Locally, Hazleton area moved to 3-0 yesterday with back-to-back 12-point wins at Whitehall and in Orlando, Florida. Sal Biazzi has tickled the twine for 101 points in those 3 wins. And it brings up a good question. Did the Cougars ever start their home schedule unbeaten in Hazleton area's 21-year school history? This is B-ball season number 22. It may have happened once, but I don't think so. The Lady Cougars are 2-1, the Marion Colts are 1-4, and the Marion Phillies are 5-0, and the MMIs have started what was a great win last night for Flanagan's Spear Knife. What else? Hazleton area Lady Cougar swimmer Felicia Grego reached her 1,000th career point. Kudos to her. Florida State quarterback won the Heisman, Jameis Winston. Penn State receiver Allen Robinson has been named first-team All-American by the Sporting News. Texas Longhorns coach Mac Brown has stepped down after 16 years. The Yankees got rid of Java. Yes, RG3 is shut down for the season, and so am I until Monday. Till then, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Be a good sport and stay loose.
Gillingham's fencing team started practicing this sport only a month ago. but the coach says he already has goals he wants to accomplish.
I want them to get their form down properly. I want them to be able to have fun with it because it is an absolute blast. And they're going to test themselves. I want them to push themselves mentally.
For at least the first year, the team will only be competing against themselves. Gillingham is the only school in Schuylkill County with a fencing program. And the reasons for that extends beyond the sport's lack of popularity in the U.S. Part of the reason that schools often don't have fencing is that it's just too expensive to fund. But the school found money through a grant.
I wanted to bring this into Gillingham for a year or two now, and now that we got our grant, we finally could afford to bring it into the school. It was in our charter, so it was definitely something we needed to bring in.
The biggest expense for the program, it's uniforms. The helmet, the gloves, the sword all add up. The suits alone cost almost $150. Students say it's well worth the expense.
I was actually really excited because I really wanted to join. Like, I've seen it and I really wanted to try it out, and I really like it.
We learned advanced, retreat, lunging, advanced lunge, double retreat, and double advance.
Fencing may be unusual to bring to a school, but athletic director Ryan Robbins says Gillingham isn't stopping there.
We're actually going to bring in a squash team in the future and martial arts and competitive weightlifting. So we'd like to do things a little different than other schools do.
Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
Welcome to this week's Adami. For those of you who remember Sissy, she's back again and we have some updates on Sissy.
That's correct, Mike. Last time we saw her, she was a newcomer. She hadn't even been given her shots or anything yet. Now she's fully vaccinated, tested negative for heartworm and Lyme. She's also spayed and ready for a home.
Now, she's very young too, and her attitude is awesome, would you say?
That's right. She's only about 7 or 8 months old at maximum, and she's very laid back. She's not hyper, not destructive. She has none of the negative traits that one normally sees with a puppy. She's actually very laid back and affectionate.
She's a very sweet dog. And that's Sissy, and we're going to head to the cat colony to check out a cat. Okay, we're back here in the male cat colony. We have Oreo as our male cat today. He's very laid back.
That's right. Oreo is a young adult, maybe about 2 years old. He's a domestic short hair, up to date on all of his shots. And he is, of course, also neutered and tested negative for feline leukemia and FIV. He gets along all right with the other cats. He really likes people, though. He loves to be held, and he loves attention and affection.
With that being said, that he loves people, do you think he would fit in any home?
I would think so. He has seemingly no negative traits. I think he'd do well with kids. He's very gentle, loves to be petted and picked up and held. He's a very gentle cat.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you want any more information on Oreo or Sissy, you can come stop by the Hazleton Animal Shelter at 101 North Poplar Street. For this week's Adopt Me, I'm Mike Madry.